You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome back to RBLR Lightning. Guys, Lightning hockey is back. It's been still like 84 years since we last got to see the Bolts play, but we are back in action, ready to go after the All-Star break. My name is Jake Ricker. Alongside me is Matt Gannon, Joe Zamataro. Guys, welcome back to the show. I hope you guys had a great All-Star break. Joe, how are you doing today, my friend?
Well, having a week off of hockey, a little bit more than a week off of hockey, watching the Lightning all the time. I'm missing them. I'm wanting to see them again. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Again, you know, you said it well. I can hardly do a week without any Lightning hockey. The All-Star game is not enough to hold me over, but I think I'll be able to manage.
Well, we're back, and we've got plenty of Lightning content to talk about, and as we get set to really preview this upcoming week because we don't have any games to recap, but let's jump into the news first to talk about that. I just wanted to mention a couple of small things. So one of our unsigned guy for us, he's not on a contract as of right now, but Ian Powell is currently getting ready set to play in the Bean Pot, which is a tournament down in Boston where 4 colleges, it's Northwestern, Boston College, Boston University, and Harvard take place in that. And they have a little late in this season, and he is starting for Boston College. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares in that competition and see if he can do something maybe to impress the Lightning and maybe get a contract signed. So if you want to check out some Lightning prospects, Ian Powell is getting ready to play in the Bean Pot, which starts today, I believe, as of this recording. The other news update there as we have for you is that everybody was at practice this morning down in Sunrise. So looks like everybody's good to go and healthy as we get set for this next week of matchups. But really, I want to jump into the All-Star game and recap that because that was the main emphasis of this week. And, you know, as we didn't have any games that we recap. By the way, Matt blew our minds when he asked what kind of jersey Bo Harvard is going to make. Oh, I mean, I still can't say his name, but we'll get there one day. We were asking him what jersey he was going to wear. We got the answer. He was wearing an Islanders jersey. So he was repping the Islanders jersey. So we got the answer to Matt's great question there. So thank you, Matt, for that, amazing question that we got to think about all weekend.
Jake, I'm going to give you one more opportunity. Just try one more time.
Maybe break it into 2 different parts.
You know what? I'm going to pass up on that opportunity, and because I don't even want to care. I don't care about that guy. I want to talk about the Lightning at the All-Star game. That's what I care about the most. Guys, so I don't know. Did you guys get a chance to watch the All-Star game? Let me do this first. What were your overall thoughts on the All-Star game? Because I've got some opinions, and I want to get everybody's thoughts here. We'd love to hear from the fans as well. Let us know at RBLR Sports. What did you think of the All-Star game? Joe, I'll start with you. What did you think of the All-Star game?
I was kind of thinking about which way I was going to put my take on this, and either I could have been contrary and just be like, oh, it was a great show, one of the best that we've ever seen. But really, the biggest takeaway that I had for it was I loved the color scheme. I thought that was great for it being in South Florida. Outside of that, I could not stand the way the whole program was ran. Everything from the organization of when different skills were taking place, not completely finishing skills competitions, having multiple rounds spread across a 3-hour show. There was audio issues. The breakaway competitions, just dumb. I don't know. It was painful to get through the whole thing for me personally. And, maybe I'm an outlier here and you guys feel differently.
No, I'll keep mine brief, and my thoughts on it were meh. I don't know. It just didn't reach out to me. It doesn't have the same luster as it has in recent years. I don't know if I'm just getting older or if the games themselves, the whole weekend, are just seeming a little more cheesy, a little more childish isn't the word, because that's, I don't know, that's a little too insulting, but I don't know. They just get kind of cringier and cringier every year. And don't get me wrong, I'll still tune in for each and every one. I don't think they're as gimmicky and gimmicky and cheesy as like the Pro Bowl or anything like that. But it's still just, it's kind of hard to watch, don't you think? Like, I was getting a lot of secondhand embarrassment for some of the broadcasters, the players, the fans. I mean, it just gets tougher and tougher to watch each year.
You guys are being nice. I'm not going to be nice. Listen, I love the All-Star game. I actually really enjoy it. The skills competition, I think, is one of the best when you compare it to any of the other leagues. It's something I look forward to every year, especially because we have usually a bunch of Lightning players competing in it as well. It was terrible, and I don't feel bad saying that. I think the NHL completely dropped the ball on this All-Star game. Joe, you mentioned it. They were not finishing competitions. They were breaking them apart. The breakaway challenge was just basically a show in between each event. They never actually just went and
It was a skit.
It was a skit. It was all gimmicky. There were audio issues. The announcers weren't even excited for the game, which we'll get to that as well. I mean, it seemed like they didn't care. It seemed like the players didn't care. The events weren't exciting. The fans weren't into it. There weren't a lot of fans there for the first half of the skills competition. I mean, it was very poorly executed. It was not well done, which is really disappointing because I love the skills competition. I think it's a great chance for the NHL to really build their brand, an opportunity when so many other leagues struggle with all-star breaks. The NHL usually does a good job, and they totally dropped the ball on this one. It could have been really good. They could have had a lot of fun with it like they always do, but total ball drop. It was not good and was by far, for me, one of the worst all-star games I think I've ever watched.
So, Jake, if you could go back to Friday evening, do you think your time would have been better spent watching the AHL All-Star Skills Competition and game?
I think it might have been, honest with you. I mean, we even had our very own from the Syracuse Crunch, Darren Radish. He won the hardest shooter competition with a 102-mile-an-hour slap shot, by the way. So another Lightning prospect to keep your eye on down there. Sorry, it was 101.8, but we rounded
102. That's fine.
I think I probably should have watched it, especially to compare it, because I did not watch that full skills competition, but the NHL one was extremely disappointing.
Yeah, and my biggest gripe with the whole thing is, like, agreeing with you guys, is the breakaway challenge. It's not a breakaway anymore. Like, it used to be kind of silly, haha, throw the funny hat and glasses on, or put the mullet on, do the yacht.
Best events.
But now it's just, I don't know, a high school play is what it seems like. I mean, PK was really trying his best, to set some of these guys up. I was kind of laughing at the Happy Gilmore David Pastrnak one.
I thought that one
didn't really. That one didn't really land. The Mitch Marner one.
I honestly didn't know that was a breakaway challenge. I thought that was literally. I had no idea that was supposed to be a breakaway challenge. I thought it was just a skit. I think I may have refilled the water or something, walked away for 2 seconds. And that was the thing with this. If you walk away for 2 seconds, you have no idea what's going on by how they were switching from event to event to event. I didn't know that until they started judging him on the shot. I had no idea that was supposed to be a breakaway.
Which by the way, the judges, what are we doing there? Like, I don't know about you guys. I didn't know any of the judges. They didn't feel, I know they try to do, it was in Miami, so they weren't doing Miami themed kind of things. I didn't feel like the judges represented Florida at all. And I don't feel like the judges knew what was going on. They're just kind of throwing scores willy-nilly. And then of course, we had this big thing. They spoiled it, by the way, that Crosby and Ovechkin were going to work together. Like, why are you telling me that beforehand? And then, of course, Ovechkin's kid is going to win the whole thing when he shoots a puck in the net, because they're all going to give him 10s. The judging system is just terrible as well. I
will say, though, that kid was awesome to watch. He had so much personality for being he must have been 6. I don't know how old Ovechkin's son is, but he had a huge personality, which was kind of fun to watch. But when it comes to these, it's a skills competition. I don't really think that there was much display of skills at all through the whole thing. And specifically going for the breakaway challenge is historically one of my favorite ones to watch, because you'd get guys absolutely dazzle you with some sort of move. And playing rec hockey myself, you try to do something that they're doing out there, and you nearly break your own ankles because it requires just a level of athleticism and skill that can't really be easily matched. But instead we get I don't know, like Happy Gilmore shoot 5 different times, putt it towards the net, and that was bad.
To be fair to Sergei Ovechkin, the Crosby-Ovechkin connection, he did pull off the Kucherov, so I'll give him a pass on that one. I thought that was intentional or not unintentional. Great goal, but
on top of that was scored on what I thought was probably my favorite part, was seeing Luongo in pads out there. The crowd went nuts. I didn't expect to see him suited up. I heard rumors that he would be there, but didn't think you'd actually get to see him. I mean, not really in action, but still get in the crease and be part of the show. And I love Luongo. I thought he was such a great player. So that was that was probably the highlight as week of one can be.
There were some moments, I think, in the All-Star game overall. Like, I did like that they wore the reverse retros. I thought that was fun and something unique that the NHL did. Like, that was good. Obviously, Ovechkin's kids, going in and shooting, that's always fun. No one's ever going to complain about that. Luongo, as you mentioned, Joe, that was a lot of fun. But just the problem was that the overall product really took a hit with the way they try to do things. I thought ESPN's coverage wasn't good. It was just kind of disastrous.
So, question for you guys, which, at least specifically the breakaway challenge, which one was your favorite and which one was your least favorite? I know the bar is not very high at all, but I just want to get your guys' take on it.
I don't care. I just don't care.
I don't know if I had a favorite, Matt. I mean, I did like Chuck's. I thought his was at least kind of creative and Florida themed.
To me, that was the best one. And again, the bar's not very high. It was the least bad
bar. They were all just kind of okay, but enough about what everybody else did. Let's talk about what the Lightning did at the All-Star game, because we did have 2 of our players go and represent us, and Nikita Kucherov and Andrei Vasilevsky. Kucherov was up first with the accuracy challenge, which was actually kind of interesting, because you would think Kucherov, he's leading the league in assists. He's more of a passer and not really a shooter. And he was early in, I think he was second that he went in the competition. And he went and hit all 4 targets in 18.147 seconds, which it's okay. And I thought he was going to get eliminated pretty quickly, but to my surprise, he actually stayed in there for quite a while, and unfortunately was only eliminated until Connor McDavid came up as the last shooter and hit all 4 targets in about 10 seconds flat. So really impressive from Connor McDavid there. But Kucherov, he was in it for a little while, so and he ended up finishing 5th. So not too bad from a guy that's known as a passer.
Certainly, none of the Lightning's All-Stars have ever been, or at least Kucherov is the only Lightning All-Star to ever get one-upped by McDavid in the skills competition, right?
Poor pointer.
I'm
unfortunately
still
no. I wish we had that rematch this year.
I mean, Kucherov obviously didn't get his best showing out there for his accuracy. He is pretty accurate and he can shoot it quickly, but you saw that out of a lot of guys. They just didn't connect very quickly. Who was it that was one of the Kuch brothers that ended up just like taking slap shot at the net because they couldn't hit all their targets?
Yeah. He went like 30 something seconds and just got frustrated and was like, forget it, and just started slinging pucks at the net as hard as he could.
There were a couple of players that were doing that really surprised me. I thought Leon Draisaitl would have been. I thought he would have been a sharpshooter with that. Because he did that, didn't he? There was somebody that was in that. There's a sharpshooter, and he took like 35 seconds, something like that. There were a lot of surprises in this entire skills competition. Makar falling down in the fastest skater, and just people choking with the accuracy shooting, people you wouldn't necessarily expect to. So, I mean, Kucherov, he hung in there for way longer than he really should have been, in my opinion.
And completely cold for a lot of these guys performing. They're sitting around forever, right? And then all of a sudden, hey, go shoot 4 pucks real quick and hit all these targets. It's like they have been moving around like they've done at other All-Star competitions where it's a lot faster pace. And that was another thing that I really noticed. Everything seemed so slow paced that I was bored for a lot of it. But think of even the goalie tandem thing, which I think was a complete disaster. How slow that happened. You'd have to wait for a puck to get rimmed. Then the one goalie would have to set up his shot, shoot. Then they got to figure out how many people are coming down on the other goalie. It took forever for too little action. And I feel like the players themselves were just staying around for most of it. Where before you'd get the fastest skater would be like 8 guys, but they just hammer them out as fast as possible to see who would win, and maybe not do subsequent rounds, but it at least made it more interesting.
Well, not even that. And then you're pushing the quote unquote finals back to the end of the night. So you're waiting even longer to finish your event. So, once you do get warm, you got to wait a whole nother, 40 minutes, whatever it was. I will say this, they had a lot of and they've done this for a couple of years now, but they had a lot of the women's teams come in and participate. One in particular that I remember was Sarah Nurse. She had a great shot against Igor Shesterkin and score a goal there.
She beat him so cleanly on one of them that hit the post too. He was beat clean, and she put a heck of a lot.
There
of
was somebody
on
else too, I think, from the USA side. I can't remember who it is, but she had a wicked shot that went off the crossbar, I believe it was. So I feel on a better performance than half of the guys did.
I genuinely would love to watch a like Canada versus women, or Canada versus US, or even bring in the other nations women's all-star. I would love to see that. They seem like they took it seriously. And again, I get it's cheesy. I get it's an attraction of some sorts, but still, I mean, the winners won 30 grand, even the NHL players, even Connor McDavid, who's making $12.5 million a year. 30,000 to me, of course, that's life-changing money, but that's not just a drop in the bucket to them. That's still a decent amount of money. You'd think these
players still enjoy it too. They like doing the all-star competition. They look forward to it. A lot of them, especially when it's with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's
not like it's nothing.
I think that's really the only reason Ovechkin decided to do it this year too. I think his kid's finally old enough, finally good enough. He can come out there and enjoy it. I was surprised to see he didn't opt out of it for like a 3rd year in a row.
He does tend to do that. It's definitely because of his kid. I'm sure he was saying that he was excited for this year because of that reason specifically. So, I do want to mention too, Vasy was perfect in the Tendy tandem. Now, granted, he only faced basically one skater every single time because they could not hit the
such a dumb event.
Yeah, and that was one of the drawbacks I think to it, is that if the other goalie keeps missing the net, Vasy's never going to have a chance to show off his skills on a 2-on-0 or 3-on-0, and he just ended up facing one skater every time. But for what it's worth, he was perfect in the Tendy tandem.
And I remember saying in the chat about the Tendy tandem thing, I think after like the first 2 plays, if you will, I was like, I kind of like this. And then there were just like no goals, and then it got really, really boring. It's a great idea on paper to me, but the execution was very flawed.
And if you're not a hockey fan, an avid hockey fan, you probably could not figure out what was going on. It was relatively, it was pretty convoluted. Yeah, if you hit this, then they're going to face this many people, and I didn't know who was on what team. When it first started, you figure it out, like you said, Matt. After a little bit, and then Vasy stops all of that come against him, but he's not even. I think they were 3rd just because they only could get 4 points. Because the other goalie wasn't shooting well, and now they're penalized by it. I don't know. I couldn't. I'm looking forward to that one going bye-bye.
Omar folded. He folded, man. I mean, if he didn't take that slap shot and completely shank it to the left of the net, I don't know. Vasy and him would have had a chance, but he sold.
the next All-Star game is going to be in Toronto next year. They did announce that officially. So I would like to think Toronto would be it's a very huge market, obviously, and they'd really ramp things up for an All-Star game in Toronto. So hopefully things, especially on the skills competition side, do improve and get us a better overall event.
As a one-off, I really did like the pitch and puck, where they drove on the golf course where they drove to the green with pucks, and then what do you once you're on the green, what do? You putt? Yeah,
they
putted. Yeah, that was fun as a one-off. Like I liked that as the crazy event that you can have. Because where else are you going to do that except for somewhere like there or here? And it was entertaining enough. The guys were trash talking each other a bit since they were right there. I liked that. I don't want to see it every year, but I thought that was fun for this one.
Although they broke it up into two separate events and made it drag on a lot longer than it needed to be.
They ruined something that was good.
The funniest part of that whole competition, it was Nick Suzuki who won it. Man, he was great in that competition, but it was Nick Suzuki who won it. And the prize for that one was free Chipotle for a year. There are zero Chipotle
for that.
There are zero Chipotles in all of Quebec.
No way. Well, he can use it when he's going to the States, when he's going on a road trip.
Yeah, no, you don't do that. If you're traveling, doing something like that, you go out to the local steakhouse or something like that. You don't go to Chipotle.
Hey man, stop hating on Chipotle, Matt.
I'm not hating on Chipotle, man, but
I haven't seen too many athletes in Chipotle either.
That is true. That's probably why I can't get as good a shape as those guys can, right? Because I'm eating so much darn Chipotle there.
So, before I think we're wrapping up the skills competition talk, right? Before we move past this, what would you guys change about it? What would Commissioner Joe and Commissioner Jake do to, I don't know, have people take it more seriously, have better events? What would you do to just make it an all-around better event, better weekend?
Well, I think Joe will agree with a lot of these things on me, but for one, don't break up the events. Do them in one consecutive movement. I do like the one-off events that they do, but also try to record them at night maybe if you're going to do that. So it feels a little more not as pre-recorded. I think that might have been a little bit, that'd be hard to do in logistics and things, but stop trying to make these overcomplicated events and go back to, like Joe said, it's a skills competition. Show off your skills. Try to, when you're picking judges, make sure you're actually, if you're going to do that, make sure you pick people that know this, not only know the sport, but really represent wherever you are playing the event. Honestly, I would probably just eliminate the judges as a whole. Do some fan voting. Let the fans vote. Have the players go down and do all these fun shots. Everybody go quick pace, and then have the fans vote on it and announce it later in the game. That would be a ton of fun.
That's what they used to do. It used to be they would I'm pretty sure. I think that's how they did it when it was in Tampa. At the very least, was they all the players took their shots. I think they got like 2 shots each or something like that. And then it was like one of those text lines or something. You text the number and say the player who you thought would win. So that's a good idea. I don't know why they ever went away with that. If they're going to keep the judges, my thought would be to have not celebrity judges, but former NHL star judges. It could be broadcasters or former players, whoever it might be, but somebody that knows the game, somebody that's, I don't know, somebody that you can cheer for. Who were these people? It cannot be that hard to get, NHL alumni. I mean, I don't know how hard they had to try to get 2 random WWE people in there, but I don't know. I think it'd be a lot easier and a lot more relevant to get some former NHLers in there or people related to the sport and, third parties, people without biases. Of course, you don't want to have, John Van Beesbrook and Roberto Luongo. They're going to be biased towards the Panthers, of course.
Wayne Gretzky. How about Wayne Gretzky? He already works for TNT.
Yeah. I mean, it really, I can't imagine it's that hard. I mean, there's thousands of NHL alumni. That's just one of the things I think I would fix in that specific area.
Don't even make it where it has to be judged for breakaway. I mean, this might be a little too niche because, with where I'm coming from for it, but just make it an elimination challenge. So you go, if you don't score, you're eliminated, the next, just keep going until there's one guy standing, which might be tough to do depending on how long it takes, or it might be over really quick. But the skit stuff I think has got to go away because that's ruining it, and it's too. I don't know. It doesn't. Who is enjoying that? Who is that for?
I think some of the skits or different fun things are okay, but they've become too much of a skit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And if I can go back to last year, Trevor Zegras, do you guys remember his breakaway? I'm putting this in air quotes.
He had the blindfold.
Doing the dodgeball in the dodgeball get up, but the thing is, that was theatrical. It was a skit. But the thing is, he did the Zorro move with the stick, and I'm butchering it, but he did the sweet Zorro move thing. It was a skill. He actually scored a goal. He actually
displayed a lot of skill.
He tried. He displayed skill. There was theatrics to it, and it was 50-50. That, to me, it still is a little bit cheesy to me, but that's as good as you're going to get in this format, if you will. I don't know. I think I'm just like you guys. I think they should revert to form. Try, honest to God breakaways. Or, keep some of the cheesiness, but don't do these big, planned out, elaborate, useless events.
Another thing that they used to do in the past was events where you kind of had a team, like a relay, which I always thought played pretty well. Like one guy would have to stick handle through some setup pucks or something, go to the next guy who had to dish. Do a sauce pass, and then another. I remember then Stamkos had to take one-timers from different angles or something like that, where they, and that I think that probably gets the players more into it because now you've got other people depending on you, so you are going to try a little bit harder so you don't ruin it for your teammates.
I mean, I guess that's the Tendy Tandem idea, and then again, Omar sold.
Yeah.
The bottom line is the skills competition was not a good look for the NHL. But you know what is a good look for you guys? If you head over to shop.rblrsports.com and check out the awesome merch that we got over there for you guys. Rays theme merch, Lightning theme merch, Bucks theme merch. We have it. We got it all over there. You can use code BOLTS for 10% off your order. Links are in the description as always. And again, that is shop.rblrsports.com. Go check it out. Pick up some new merch that you can rock and represent Team Tampa Bay and Team RBLR. Really appreciate it when you guys go and check out and pick up some merch for yourselves as well. But with that said, let's get come on, guys. That was a good one. That was great.
Beauty.
One last thing about the skills competition. The one last thing that I would change, then we can do the transition. I'm sorry, Jake. They did this in the AHL All-Star game, was they removed the glass behind the benches. So the players were just talking, interacting with the fans sitting right there.
That's dangerous. I feel like that's dangerous. I don't know if you could do that.
Nobody's shooting.
You get one bad fan down there and they start joshing. I don't know. That seems like a bad recipe. That's interesting though. That is interesting though.
Just had flashbacks to the time that Ty dummied a guy in the penalty box who came over the glass.
Matt, I think it's a good idea. It would be fun, but all it takes is one fan to get under somebody's skin, and the next thing you know, mayhem just all breaks loose. And
I'm sitting in the front row seat, and I see Marchand out there. I'm just going for him. All right, fair enough.
Let's bring up the All-Star game just quickly, and then we'll preview what's coming up because I think a lot of people are excited to get Lightning hockey back. But the All-Star game, the Atlantic did win the whole thing, so congratulations to the Atlantic team for winning. And they get Matt, I think you said it was $30,000 each at the end of the day, right?
It was 30,000 for all the skills
the
skills competition winners.
Okay, I got you.
And then it was $1 million rewarded to the tournament winner,
to the team, right? Total. Yes. I don't know what the exact breakdown is, but they win some money and good for Kucherov and Vasy to get the win. Kucherov had a couple of goals. I believe he had 2 goals total. He played okay in the first game. Played really good in the second one. I thought he had a really nice move where he made a couple of quick dekes and went top shelf and a good goal there to tie the game. He played pretty well, I thought. So fun for them and good for the Atlantic to get the win. But most importantly, and Joe, I know you're waiting to talk about this, Vasilevsky's mask with the themed for Miami Vice, it was 10 out of 10 home run.
That is such a good looking paint job. And we have it on the RBLR Sports Twitter page if you want to take a closer look. It's got teal, it's got like the pink and purple, so it's got the Miami Vice-esque look to it. Then there's more airbrushing with it's a famous hotel in Miami. What is it called? It's called the Colony Hotel on one side, but it's redone to say Tampa Lightning on it. It's such a cool look. I thought that by far he won the competition in terms of who had the best swag with their custom goalie getup.
He definitely won he won the style competition, that's for sure. And it sucks because that's probably going to be the only time he ever gets to wear that, at least in a game. I mean, those just to get a mask painted is anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for a goalie mask. So
plus the cost of a NHL eligible mask itself, which is around $1,000 or more.
Geez. So we're looking at the very least is a $6,000 helmet right there that got used twice.
See, now that's something, I don't know if they did do this or not, but something cool they could have done is maybe, because a couple of the goalies were wearing those kind of themed goalie masks and pads as well, except for UC Saros. He apparently didn't get the memo, was the only one still wearing his team colors. But if they would have auctioned those off at the end of the game or something like that might have been a cool idea, to do some kind of auction and then donate to some Miami charity or something like that. Like maybe they could have done something with that. I don't know if they are actually up for auction or if their goalies are just keeping them, but
that'd be a good idea. But if I was Vasy, I'd proudly display that on any shelf. The thing just looks so cool with the cat on top, the big cat on top with the slant glasses. Yeah, it's
what would have been the best would have been if I know it wouldn't have matched, but it would match the overall theme, but it wouldn't have matched the colors. Wearing that with the reverse retro jerseys. Of course, it's not going to be able to happen. They've since retired them. They wore them the last time. No. I think that would have been kind of cool, but hindsight is 2020.
All right, since we are going into the game here, let's talk about the jerseys for a moment, because on paper, I thought that I got the theme. It was the old all-star jerseys that they then changed the colors. But watching them on TV, if one of the home team players had their back to the camera, there was so much white on them that it was hard to tell what team people were playing on depending on where they were on the ice.
I'm glad you brought this up because we were kind of talking about it in our group chat, during the All-Star game. Even the announcers were saying this, that it was hard to tell the difference. I don't know if I'm the only one. I didn't get that feeling. I thought I liked the jerseys. I thought they were pretty cool in the theming, and they're not the best. It's so hard to make a perfect jersey nowadays, especially everybody's going to criticize it no matter what almost. But I thought they were pretty cool. And I don't know. I thought I was able to tell the difference pretty easily. Maybe that's just because I was, I'm such a huge hockey nerd that I ultra pay attention to all this stuff. And maybe if you were just more casually watching, it'd be harder to notice. But for me personally, I thought it wasn't that bad. Maybe I'm wrong though. And I'd love to hear from one of the players specifically on how it was.
Well, maybe it's those young eyes that you got, but one of the players on the away team definitely gave a breakaway pass to a player on the home team that he
did happen a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that happens in a regular game sometimes too.
Yeah, maybe for Sergachev, but I'm just kidding.
Wow, Matt.
Shorthanded too, but I don't know. So the general consensus when the jerseys first dropped, the NHL posted the pictures of them. They were received very well. People really liked them, and then me as well. I kind of turned on them as soon as I saw them on the ice. The issue to me was just there's way too much white on the back of the home jerseys, and the teal came up on the back on the away jerseys. And I don't know. I think that to me, that was the biggest issues. I think the jerseys look great in a vacuum, but I don't know when they're head to head, there's just a little bit too much white on the home. I don't know. The teal wasn't a huge issue, but it was just getting confused. It was confusing at first, and I got better as the game went on, as the games went on. It was getting a little bit easier for me, but trust me, if I was out there too, I would have given a great breakaway pass to my opponent. So
People must hate when the Lightning play the Toronto Maple Leafs because I mean those jerseys are just basically identical at that point.
I
Same home
hate
and
it.
away jerseys. At least you have like one completely dark and then one white jersey at that point, I guess. But
Well, if you don't know who's home and who's away, if I'm
right,
watching at a sports bar and the TV's on the other side, you kind of got to squint a little bit to figure out who's who at first.
hey, let us know at RBLR Sports. What do you guys think of the jerseys? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Was it too hard to tell the difference? We'd love to hear from you guys and get your thoughts on that as well. Let's look into what we have coming up here for the Lightning because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Lightning hockey is back and we are ready to go. And the first game is going to be today as of this recording, and it's going to be against the Florida Panthers. So the Bolts get to kind of stay in Sunrise. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I thought it was interesting that Pat Maroon was at the All-Star game doing color commentary basically or I should say sideline reporting for ESPN. Sergachev, I also noticed, was down in Miami. Basically, everybody was down there, probably because they're playing the Florida Panthers. So kind of just an extended vacation turned into a business trip for the Lightning. But they're taking on the Florida Panthers today. The Panthers not having a great season. They're 5th in the wild card right now, 24, 22, and 6. They've been struggling a lot. Although something interesting to note is that the Lightning are not particularly great when it comes to playing games after the All-Star break. They are 5-4-1, I believe, when coming back. Yes, or no, sorry, 4-5-1 when coming back from the All-Star break. So we'll see if the Lightning can push that up to just under 500, but might be a tough game for them, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I know the first game back is always a really rough game, and I think this one's going to be closer than I would really like it to be. This one's kind of a toss-up. When you sent me that stat, Jake, I was, I had figured there was something like that, but I didn't think it was quite that skewed, to be under 500 game after the break. But at the same time, I'm also like, you know what? If all the guys are down there, most of the guys are down there, they haven't done kind of the same traveling. Maybe some of the other players have. You got to imagine some of the Panthers players. They went down to Mexico or Cancun, something like that. Meanwhile, the Lightning, all they had to do is drive 4 hours or something like that and shack up there for the week. They might be pretty well rested. So I don't know. To me, that one kind of is a bit of a coin toss.
Yeah, the Lightning were playing so well in that last week before the All-Star break, and they did everything that we had asked of them, from having scoring depth to shoring things up at home and being more defensively responsible. It's almost a shame that they weren't able to continue playing, keeping that momentum going into more games. And like you said, you take a little bit of a break, and sometimes that really changes your mentality on everything. You need to get a big reset again in order to get back on track. And this isn't, I mean, the Florida Panthers team isn't statistically not doing great, but they are a tough team to play against. And I really hope that they can do well in it, but I kind of have a feeling this might be one that they drop.
I hope it's not, because this is the big rival game, and I'm hoping that's going to help them out a little bit. Is that it's the Lightning don't like the Florida Panthers, and the Florida Panthers don't like us, so maybe that'll get their juices flowing a little bit, and we got to show little brother what's up, and that we are still the team to be reckoned with. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a tough game for the Lightning to start things off, but after that, then they are going to be coming home, this is a back-to-back on Wednesday. They're on Tuesday, the San Jose Sharks, who are 15, 25, and 11. They are in the 7th spot for the wild card in the Western Conference. Then they will be playing Colorado at Amalie Arena. Colorado is 27, 18, and 3. They are in 2nd place in the wild card race. And then they finish off this week against Dallas, who is 28, 13, and 10. They are 1st in the Pacific, so they are the best team on paper that the Lightning will be playing this week. So on paper, some relatively easier matchups, if you want to say that. But again, as we've talked about before on the show, every game is a game that you could potentially lose as you're playing an NHL caliber team. But hopefully the Lightning come away with a couple of wins here. They got a couple of home games to try and extend that home winning streak maybe. So guys, your thoughts on this week as a whole?
So the game against San Jose, that's one of the weaker teams in the entire NHL. So that's a good chance to actually go ahead and extend that streak. I think they'll do well. Colorado, you can't ever count out Mac. He's just so good. McKinnon is an amazing player. So that could go either way depending on how well the Lightning are playing on their own ice there. And then, like you said, a big matchup with Dallas. This is a tough week coming back from a lot of rest. So let's see if they started off right and how we'll be thinking about them come our next broadcast on Monday.
We got two finals rematches back to back. Well, not actually back to back, but right there.
That's right, Colorado and Dallas.
Which will be really fun. By the way, note, both of those games are going to be nationally broadcasted. The Colorado game will be on ESPN, and the Dallas game will be on ABC, not TNT. It'll be on ABC. So if I can save at the very least one person from having to make a post, where's the game at? I hope this message finds you well. It'll be on ABC.
You'll still have to make that post because the game won't be starting at the correct start time in about an hour later.
When's the game on?
Well, 1:00 is a strange start time for Saturday as well.
Yes,
I am glad that means that it won't interfere with the Gasparilla Ninth Parade that will be going on later that evening. So I'll get to indulge in both.
Great, I'm working.
Win-win.
I'm working while the game's on. That's great.
Sorry, bud.
Sorry about your luck.
But it is a 1 p.m. Eastern start for that Saturday against Dallas. Everything else is 7 p.m. Eastern as normal. But of course, those the NHL is a really hard time starting games on time. So more like 7:10, 7:30, depending if it's on national television. But hey, interesting week coming up for the Lightning. They're going to try and get their feet under them quickly as they've had that little break. And this is it. This is where you start to get some of the playoff pushes. This is the second half of the season. Everything is downhill from here. Luckily, the Lightning sit pretty comfortably in a playoff spot right now, but don't look back. You got a full force ahead, and this is when you got to start getting ready into playoff shape very, very soon because the playoffs are going to be here before you know it. So some exciting things. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us again this week. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us at RBLR Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.